Hey everybody, welcome, welcome to Hidden Horror. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate that. Let's get started. Hey everybody, good afternoon. How are you for a Saturday, right? Listen, everybody, I want to explain a couple of things. During the school year, during August to about May/June, I'm extremely busy because I volunteer. Now that it's the summer, I have a little bit more time after the graduations, going to other kids' events, their graduation parties, the scholarships that I'm involved in, all of that. I've had a little bit more time now that June is pretty much done. And I've been able to go back. And what I found out, I was right. If you go back to the video that I did in the mini collection, when I talked about was the property at 1122 King Road, was it clean? I didn't know that. I was guessing. And the reason I was guessing is because when I watched 1122 King Road demolished on December 28th, 2023, right after Christmas, I didn't see any blood, any DNA, etc. So I thought maybe the crime scene was professionally clean. I want to show you why I thought that, and then I'm going to unpack all of what happened since I've gone back and had a little bit more time to do more research. So let me share my screen. I want you to be patient with me today because I have a lot of articles and I have a couple of videos, but I have prepared and laid them all out. But it's just going to take a little bit of time to demonstrate why I thought what I thought. And in fact, that was exactly what happened. The Moscow Police Department had a company come in and clean the crime scene. Um, there was two different situations going on. The Moscow Police Department decided to return the personal belongings of the victims, and they did their on their own. They went in, they packed up the items. They had a U-Haul truck, and Chief Fry at the time, he was involved, and they packed up those items and drove them off. The second thing was the crime scene cleanup. Now, that packing and removing the items, that was on December 7th, 2022. So that's about a little bit over 3 weeks after the homicides at the property. And then they had set up the disaster relief company to go and clean, sanitize all of the bio on December 28th, 2022. So they had plans to move things along. And remember, this was before they even had suspect Brian Koberger arrested in custody. What actually happened after going through all of this information, the day that the company, the disaster relief business, was supposed to come and actually clean 1122 King Road, it was announced that an arrest was made of Brian Koberger. So it was halted by the court. So I'm just going to show you, because I want you to know I'm bringing facts, okay? My experience made me think that, but now I have clear proof that that crime scene, it was cleaned up prior to it being demolished, okay? So let me show you the demolished video first. And this is why I thought what I thought when I seen that on December 28th, 2023. We're going to start with that video, okay? Let's see. And all these, I try to keep them brief, okay? When first off, it was right after Christmas, and I had already created a video expressing why I felt there was value in preserving the house that would help preserve the layout. It would help demonstrate space, distance, sound. And also, if there was an alleged stalker, you would be able to see, I'm sorry, you'd be able to see, one moment, you'd be able to see the angles that the stalker probably, possibly were outside of the house and viewing the house, watching the house. Because in the beginning, it was a lot of talk about that there was possibly a stalker. Okay. Um, and in that endeavor, some people feel that Maddie was the target. And they feel that Maddie was the target because what they believe the attack started on the third floor in her bedroom. And because Kaylee no longer lived at 1122 King Road, they felt even though Kaylee and Maddie were together on the third floor, they felt that Maddie was the target of the stalking. I I'm not sure, but in my opinion, from looking at everything, I'm considering the fact that Kaylee thought she had a stalker. She told people she had a stalker, her family, other people. And Kaylee experienced, out of all of the four victims, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Zaina, she experienced the most trauma in the attack. She had defensive wounds and she also had the most stabbings, allegedly over 50 stabbings. I feel that there was a lot of anger, a lot of rage inflicted on her, focused on her. Okay. So let's get back to the house being demolished. So just from me pausing the video, you can see that the walls are thin. It's just wood and drywall. So you believe that sound would really carry, right? You can see it for yourself here. You can see the wood, you can see the drywall. And again, when I saw the house demolished and I was viewing it, I thought, okay, we're going to have major um, issues with sound. Um, it should be vibrating through this area. It's like a little mountain above them. They're like sunken. The house is like below. And then by there not being any concrete, any plaster walls, sound would more so travel. And if you're on the second floor, you should hear what's going on the third floor. Or if you're on the first floor, you should hear what's going on the second floor, etc. So that made me believe that if there was a roommate on the second floor, you probably hear what was happening on the third floor, but also what's happening on the second floor. So that would be Zaina's bedroom where Zaina and Ethan allegedly were. And then, of course, on the third floor where Maddie and Kaylee were found, right? So that was one thing. I definitely felt like, wow, you would really hear this sound. It would vibrate, it would expand throughout this area because of the way the house was and the walls. And then from seeing the tear down, because I immediately said, wow, there's no blood anywhere. You can see it for yourself. No blood splatter, no staining of blood, no any signs of any DNA, brain matter, tissues, etc. Um, it made me feel that a professional company cleaned the crime scene areas because, from my experience, as I've said in so many videos, there would be blood DNA on the walls, the floor, the items, the articles, the bed, um, the windows, etc. So this is what I saw. This is what made me have that opinion. You see how easy the house collapsed? It just folded over, it just fell over, right? Sound should have been you know, furthering and all of that. Okay, let's continue. It's only a few more seconds. You see how easily the structure just folded in? You have siding, you have drywall, you have wood. Um, you should have been able to hear very easily. It's a very sad thing to know and watch. Okay, okay. So I think am I frozen on here? Let me see. Okay. I hope that you can hear me. Um, let me try something. Oh, and I want to try to get this right. So I know up next we're going to talk a little bit more about that company that was hired. We want to talk a little bit about the company that was hired to do the cleaning of 1122 King Road. I want to go to an article that's by, let me pull it up. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. I want to share my screen so I can go over this article that Chief Fry was highlighted in, stating that a cleaning team was going to go in and sanitize the bio at 1122 King Road. Um, so let's hear that um, first. Okay, let's hear that first. All right. So let me read that out to you. Let me pull that up. This article is on kxly.com. It's titled Biohazard Cleaning Team to Work on Moscow House Where 4 U of I Students Were Unalived in November. I'll pull that up a little bit. Okay. The article is dated December 29th, 2022, and it's written by Misty Reed. More than 6 weeks after 4 young college students were found unalived inside a shared house in Moscow, Idaho, police still hadn't announced a suspect or found a murder weapon. There were new signs of progress happening before the new year. Police said a private company that performs biohazard cleaning services would be brought in starting Friday, December 30th, 2022, to begin the remediation process and eventually return the house to the property management company that takes care of it. Specialized cleaning crews will remove biohazard materials and other harmful substances used in the evidence collection process. Moscow detectives said Thursday that they are processing more than 9,025 email tips, 4,575 phone tips, 6,050 digital media submissions, and have interviewed people over 300 times since the bodies of Zaina Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Goncalves, and Madison Morgan were discovered on November 13th, 2022. Investigators continue efforts to track down a white 2011 through 2013 Hyundai Elantra they believe was in the area of the house on King Road right around the time of the murders. Anyone with tips that could help in the investigation was asked to call the Moscow police tip line, and they gave a number. Okay. So let's hear it from Chief Fry. Okay. Let's hear his words. Let me see.
Every animal has a story. Some stories we know, others we don't. No matter how they.
Well, starting tomorrow, the scene where the students were murdered will be changing. Moscow Police Chief James Fry says a biohazard cleaning crew will begin cleaning the crime scene.
Part of the reason we're doing that is because of the biohazards, as well as chemicals that were used during the investigation. So there will be activity over at that residence on King Road, and we just want people to know about that.
Moscow police have named no suspects in the case. Detectives continue looking for a white Hyundai Elantra, like the one on your screen, saying it was seen in the area around the time of the murders. Police say the driver or passengers may have information vital to the case. If you have any information about that car or any other tips, you can send an email to the address on your screen or call the investigations tip line at 208-883-7180.
Okay. So I just wanted you to hear that from Chief Fry, because I'm trying to get myself added back to the screen. But I wanted you to hear that from Chief Fry because it was an important thought in my mind that um, not too much time had passed after the murders, that it was set up to have the crime scene cleaned up. Um, Now, I'm going to come back to this point, but I do want to also state that on December 7th, 2022, Moscow Police Department removed some of the victims' belongings also. So before the crime scene was scheduled to be cleaned up, Moscow Police Department also removed some of the items.
Police began removing some of the victims' personal belongings from that crime scene in Moscow. Police said the families have been asking for some of those items back. Investigators say those things are no longer needed for their investigation. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley was at the house today and spoke to law enforcement about the next steps in this investigation.
At the request of the students' families, Moscow police packed up personal belongings at the home. In fact, Chief James Fry said it was important for him to personally be here with the officers, boxing up those items so they could, in a sense, be there for the family and give back those items that might help the family heal. The chief himself drove the U-Haul into the driveway. Police officers arrived early this morning to pack up the students' things, and by noon today, they finished loading the boxes onto the truck. This is not something police typically do, but Idaho State Police spokesperson Aaron Snell says in this case, it was appropriate.
We've had the crime scene for quite some time, and the family would like back some of those belongings. There's undoubtedly some sentimental issues, and I think it will help with a little bit of the healing, and we want to be part of that process. We want to help them. We don't want to keep holding on to items that really aren't needed for the investigation.
There was no sign of the students' immediate family members here today, but we do know the U-Haul has been taken to a secure location where Moscow police will communicate with the family to coordinate returning those items to them.